let's come into a seated position. So we're going to chant the Adi mantra before we start our Kundalini Yoga. So this is helping us tune into ourselves, our higher selves. This is helping us tune into the cosmic consciousness. And it's also helping us tune into the golden chain of teachers. So tuning into the teachers that came before us. And Yogi Bhajan says that chanting this brings the total spiritual knowledge of all teachers who have ever existed or who will ever exist on this earth. It is beseeched upon that person. So we're going to rub our hands together, close our eyes, bring your thumbs into your chest. Hold on 1 second. Okay, bring your hands in your chest. We're going to inhale. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Inhale. Look up at that point between the brow. Pull the Mula Bandha. Exhale. Ad Gude Name, Chugad Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Ad Gude Name, Chugad Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Ad Gude Name, Chugad Gude Name, Sat Gude Name, Siddhi Gurudev Name. Inhale, hold the breath. Look up at that point between the brow and exhale. Okay, let's come onto all fours. We're going to come into cat-cow. So we're going to inhale up. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale up. Exhale, chin to chest. Keep going. Inhale up, exhale down. We're doing 3 minutes of cat-cow. This is balancing all 8 of our chakras, the 7 of our chakras, and then our 8th one is our aura, our arc lines. We talked about that last week. So today we're going to talk about chanting and the mantras, because we've talked about this before. So you're doing cat-cow, you're listening. So the chanting is really effective in yoga, and what we chant are the mantras. And so when we chant this sound, it activates our brain, and they're actually codes. These mantras are codes, and they activate our neurology. So when the tongue and the teeth, they're moving, and our lips, it's all activating these different quadrants of our brain. And so, for example, what we just chanted right now, the Adi mantra, the Om Namo Gurudev Namo, that uplinks you to the wisdom, to your own intuitive wisdom, and to the collective wisdom. So this is going to help guide our practice. So that's what that chant does. That's why we chant it in the beginning of Kundalini Yoga. And it also helps you tune into yourself, so that way you can tune into your inner self, your inner wisdom, and that way you can tune into the divine as well. And then also when using any mantra and chanting, so when we're chanting, it's not necessarily the meaning of the sound which is important, but actually the sound itself. So we can break down each word Om Namo Gurudev Namo and give you like a definition of each one, I can definitely do that, but it's not so much the meaning of the mantra that's important, it's the sound. We use the sound technology to get inside of our awareness, of our concentration, of our focus, our meditation, so that way we can commune with the divine. It's a tool. So our tongue is hitting our mouth, and it's hitting certain parts in our brain, and this repetitive mantra, it's called japa. It's the repetition, the mantra. This is what gets us, it's like a key that gets us in, so that way we can do different things like commune with the divine, or commune with ourselves, or call it whatever you want, cosmic consciousness, or truth, or the higher power. That's what these mantras do. That's what the chanting does, is it helps us get in there. It's like a key. So it's not necessarily the meaning of the mantra that's important, but it's the sound of the mantra that's actually awakening these elevated levels of consciousness. So that's also what we're talking about too when I'm talking about communing with the divine. It's opening up your consciousness, so that way you can get to these higher levels of consciousness. And so that's why we use the technology of sound to create a space for the practice. That's why we do the Adi mantra before we do our practice, because we're using the sound technology to get inside that frequency to be able to commune with the divine, however you associate with it. So let's do one more inhale up, exhale, chin to chest, and then let's push back into child's pose, hands in prayer pose. And then let's come onto a seated position. So we're going to do the addiction meditation, which we chant mentally. And so we've had some experience with that, how this addiction meditation, our fingers are up here, you can just wait a second, and we're chanting the sa, ta, na, ma, and that's helping us tune in and catching those addictions and repatterning our brain. And part of that is the mantra, the other part is the postures. So let's focus on this, using our mantras tonight, this repetition. So we'll close our eyes down and we're chanting sa, ta, na, ma, while we gently clench the back molars, eyes closed down. We're looking at the point between the brow.
Aredas bei, amardas guru, amardas guru, aredas bei, ramdas guru, ramdas guru, ramdas guru, sachi, sai. Aredas bei, amardas guru, amardas guru, aredas bei, ramdas guru, ramdas guru, ramdas guru, sachi, sai. Aredas bei, amardas guru, amardas guru, aredas bei, ramdas guru, ramdas guru, ramdas guru,
Inhale. Look up at that point between the brow. Exhale. Okay, and then let's come onto our backs. And let's bring our knees into our chest. And then straighten your legs and let's grab the back of the legs. Take some deep breaths here. Start to take those yogic breaths. Inhale, push the belly out. Exhale, push the belly in. And then let's bring your knees to our chest and let's take a couple of rock and rolls. And then roll up into a seated position. And then let's come into cobbler pose. So feet together. Sit up really tall. Inhale. Exhale, you can stay here or you can come forward. You just want to feel the stretch in the inner thigh. Sit up really tall, and then we'll come back to a seated position. And then from here we're going to do ego eradicator. So we're going to do our breath of fire, which is really good for detoxification, gets more oxygen into the cells, so really good for the red blood cells. And so fingers up on the pads of the palms, and our arms are out 60 degrees, our thumbs are out, and we're doing breath of fire, so it's even inhale and exhale through the nose. Let's go ahead and start. Inhale. Touch the thumbs, hold the breath. Really stretch. And exhale. Touch the mat. Roll your shoulders, the neck and the jaw. Okay, let's come into our seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. So sit up really tall, flex the feet, inhale, stretch, and then exhale, come forward. Take some deep breaths here and see if every breath you can get deeper into the posture. Walk your hands back up to a seated position, exhale, and then let's come into easy pose. Okay, so we're gonna sit up really tall. We wanna make sure when we're sitting up in easy pose that we have a straight spine. You wanna sit up really tall. You wanna tuck that chin slightly in. You wanna have that chin lock, that Jalandhar. So even though we're sitting up really tall, really straight spine. So we're working on the mantras tonight. So we know that the mantras are really important because this is the sound technology that's the key that's able to help us commune with the divine, lift our consciousness, raise our energy. So many different positive benefits from using these mantras. And we're doing, it's repetition. It's called japa, so it's repetition of the mantras. You repeat them over and over again. So the mantras are also important because chanting out loud uses the tip of your tongue to stimulate the 84 meridians on the roof of your mouth. And that creates a particular code to activate healthy brain chemistry and emotional balance. So another great benefit of using these mantras to chant. So we're going to do Kirtan Kriya, which uses a mantra. So this Kriya is one of 3 that Yogi Bhajan mentioned would carry us through the Aquarian age, which we're in now. Even if all other teachings were lost, there are 4 principal components of practicing this correctly, which is the mantra, the mudra, the voice, and the visualization. So we've done this one before, so we're going to be focusing on the point between the brow, and we're using the seed sounds, the sa, ta, na, ma, the 5 primal sounds, and I'll tell you the meaning, so even though the meaning's not as important as the sound. Sa, infinity, cosmos, beginning. Ta, life, existence. Na, death, change, transformation. And ma, rebirth. So sa is infinity, ta is life, na is death, and ma is rebirth. This is a cycle of creation. From the infinite comes life and individual existence. From life comes death or change. From death comes the rebirth of consciousness. From rebirth comes the joy of the infinite, through which compassion leads back to life. Chant ah as if you were pronouncing mom. So ma in the following manner: sa, ta, na, ma. Okay, so then we're doing the thumb to index finger, sa, and then this is the Jupiter finger, middle finger, Saturn finger, ta, sun finger is ring finger, na, and then pinky finger is ma. And we're going about 3 to 4 seconds to do the entire thing. And so, when we're doing this, we're also imagining the sa, ta, na, ma as an L form coming out the top of the head, through the top of the head, the crown chakra, out the third eye. It says you must meditate in this L form. This means you'll feel that constant inflow of cosmic energy into the solar center, the crown chakra. And as the energy enters the top of the head, you'll place the mantra there, and it'll move out through the brow, projected into infinity. This energy flow follows the energy pathway called the golden cord, the connection between the pineal and pituitary gland. Some people may occasionally experience headaches from practicing this. If they don't use the L form. This is the most common reason for this is improper circulation of prana in the solar centers. Well, we don't have that because we're constantly opening our chakras and balancing our arc line, so we'll be fine. Okay, so just gently putting your palms on your knees, and we're going to do 5 minutes. So we're going to chant aloud together. Let me get a timer. Close the eyes. Remember, it's going in through the top of the head and out through the third eye. And let's sa, ta, na, ma. Actually, hold on. Remember, it's aloud, and then it's a whisper, and then silent. So we'll actually do 3 minutes of each, and then come back out. We'll do 3. We'll make it shorter. We'll make it do 11 minutes. Okay. Sa, ta, na, ma. 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 sa, ta, na, ma, 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 sa, ta, na, ma. Whisper. Sa, ta, na, ma, 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 sa, ta, na, until you vibrate the sound on your own. sa, ta, na, ma, 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 sa, ta, na, ma. Inhale. Hold the breath. And then exhale. Okay, let's come onto our backs. And then stretch your arms up over your head as far as you can. Inhale. Exhale. Now let's bring our knees into our chest. Stretch our back. Rock left and right. And then rock and roll into a seated position. And then from here, we're going to come into reclined hero pose. So you can stay here. You just want to feel the stretch in the top of the thighs, or you can come all the way back. Just take some deep breaths here. And if you lift your head back, push your head back up, and then using your forearms, come up. Let's come into folded leaf. Come forward, palms face up. And then let's come up into a seated position, and let's do some Sarabandandis. So these are everybody's favorite, I know it. Okay, it's triangle pose. We're doing triangle pose, and then we come into plank pose, and you can come onto your knees if you want, and then come down. Is my head cut off? Nope. And then feet stay tucked under. They're not like this. They stay tucked under, and then you inhale up into some sort of upward dog. Go as far as you want, and then you push back into downward facing dog. So we're going to do as many of these as we can. So you want to inhale up and exhale down. Coordinate your breath with the movement. Okay. Okay, let's do a couple more. Make sure you're coordinating the breath. So exhale, and then inhale, or wait, exhale down, inhale up, and then exhale, push back. And you want to make sure you're taking your triangle pose, your stretch. You can take a couple breaths here if you want. But then when you go back down, exhale, inhale up, and exhale back. Make sure you're deepening your breath, make sure you're coordinating your breath. Focus on your breath, that's the most important part. Let's meet in triangle pose. Pedal your dog, downward dog, triangle, it's all the same thing. And then come into child's pose. Okay, and then we're going to come into pigeon pose. So let's come back into downward facing dog. And then from here, we're going to come into pigeon pose. So bring your right leg across and then come down. Take some deep breaths here.
Namo Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman.
Okay, and then let's switch sides. Stretch that right foot out a little bit. And then let's come back into downward facing dog. And then we'll come onto the other side. So bring the left leg across, down.
Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya 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 Ram, Jai 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 Bajranga Bali, Baba Hanuman. Jai Bajranga Bali, Jai Hanuman. Sankatamochan Kripanidhan. Sankatamochan Kripanidhan. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya Ram, Jai Jai Hanuman. Jai Siya Ram, Jai And then let's release that. Stretch that left leg out if you need to. And then let's come onto our backs. Bring your knees into our chest. And then rotate the right ankle 3 times to the right, 3 times to the left, the left ankle 3 times to the right, 3 times to the left. And then let's come into Shavasana. Take up as much space on your mat here as you'd like. Palms face up. Let your feet fall to each side. And then go ahead and take 5 yogic breaths on your own. Inhale, push your belly out. Exhale, push your belly in. Focus on the breath. Focus on your inhale as you fill the belly up. focus on your breath. Feel the rise and fall of your belly. That your mind has started to wander, just take note. You can even say to yourself, thinking or feeling, and then gently bring your attention back to the breath. Gently come back to your breath without judging or getting frustrated. Just gently come back. And if you found yourself in thought, gently come back to the breath. The transition is the most important part. Just gently come back and focus on the breath. Then gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Then bring your arm up over your head and roll over onto your side. And then come up into a seated position, eyes closed, bring your hands to your heart. Yoga is derived from the root yuj, which means to yoke. The yoga practitioner seeks to yoke his or her individual soul with cosmic consciousness. When oxen are yoked, they are still separate, held slightly apart, but they walk in the same direction on the same path. The various yoga practices are like the yoking mechanism. They put you on the path and direct you as you walk toward God. They make you available for the possibility that you might experience a graceful dissolution of the yoke and merge with the divine called samadhi. Inhale. Sat. Nam.